Hey y'all, it's your girls Fire and TG, and together we're Awazi.
Catch us every Thursday. Yeah, you heard that correctly.
Thursday,
3:30 to 5 p.m. on 104.7 EBC FM.
Come for the good music and stay for the spicy topics. Awazi, let's spice it up. Well, welcome back.
Howdy.
To the Awazi Show here on EBC 104.7. We have a special guest, guys.
We did. We went off on a whole rant about it right before we went on a musical break and went to get him and everything too. So I hope you guys actually stayed true to your words and stayed tuned into the show because our guest is finally here.
This is we like to say our Christmas gift to our listeners.
It is. Yeah? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So we'd like to introduce who we consider not just, the culinary king, but to us, Ethiopian royalty as well. Ooh. The one, the only, Marcus Samuelson. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was the best intro ever. And I think when we're in Addis, we have to also say, Kasahun Segai, because that was the name I was born with, and if there's ever a place where I love to talk about that name, because this is my birth name, is here, Kasahun Segai. It's actually Marcus Samuelson's name sounds stranger here for some reason
doesn't fit.
than Kasahun Segai.
Okay, you're Kasahun for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kasi.
Yeah. That's so sweet. Yeah. I remember the first time I saw you on BuzzFeed, and you were in Harlem with Red Rooster, and when you were on Marcus Samuelson, I was like, wait, he's Ethiopian, right?
He looks Ethiopian.
I was like, he's Ethiopian, right?
He's
Ethiopian. I swear he's Ethiopian. So it's finally good to know you're
Yes. And the journey of food, I think it's so powerful in connecting to us as Ethiopians, and to be able to be in the States and always share my love for Ethiopia, but also our culture and our food is something that is one of the biggest privileges of my life. And finally, to be able to come back home and to really be part of an amazing culinary destination like Marcus Addis, it's been a lifetime work for myself, and we're very, very excited and proud to be here.
That's amazing.
Yay.
And yes, we did get to visit Marcus Addis. We'll talk about that later.
In a bit.
We have pictures so you guys can be jelly. But speaking of your love for Ethiopian food and the way you do highlight food throughout your career, it's such an interesting shift because you said it yourself, you didn't get to grow up here. And so being away from Ethiopia and growing up abroad, I imagine you didn't have a lot of access to Ethiopian food or even people to teach you how to make Ethiopian food. So did you have to go on that discovery journey by yourself to find out about Ethiopian food? And how was the process of learning not to just fall in love with cooking, but fall in love with Ethiopian food as well? How was that journey for you?
Yeah, I would say it was parallel. If you could really pull it all the way back, right? When I was born. So I just imagine, my sister, myself, my mom, we had tuberculosis, and she walked us into Addis, which is, further out than Mecca, so it's a long walk.
Yeah.
But even that walk, I think about it all the time. What did she feed us? 2 kids, it must have been shiro, right? Because what food can you travel with as a single woman with 2 kids? It has to be dry food that you easily can have access to water to cook something quickly. Maybe fruit, So that walk alone, I think many times on what did she actually feed us. And once we got to Addis and to Black Lion Hospital, we were, she passed, but we survived. And what was the food there? So the food is, for me, it's such a big mystique in the beginning of what was it, right? And then we got home to one of the nurses there that fed us Ethiopian food. So then then the picture becomes clearer, right? Injera, probably shiro as well, ferfer. So, now I understand kind of that process. And then the movie turns to going from the warmest country in the world,
All of a
eating
sudden it's
injera,
cold.
and all of a sudden, being in Gothenburg, not even Stockholm, Gothenburg, the west coast of Sweden, and you switch injera to like herring and boiled potatoes, and no better for a long time, right? So that's right there. It's a juxtaposition. So my mom, or my adopted mom, she used to take us to, basically, there wasn't an Ethiopian community in Gothenburg, but there were parents with adopted kids from basically the whole West Coast that maybe once a year, or maybe it was twice a year, got together, and we always ate their version of injera, because the Ethiopian diaspora is very, very frugal and had to switch out. As you lived in Minnesota, when you can't get teff, injera is made with
rice. You do whatever you got.
Yeah. So the first injera I had as a kid was not with injera at all. It was with Swedish sort of ground, different flours, right? But I knew about sort of certain lentils and certain dishes. I knew about eating with my hands. Was not good at it. Still not great at it. And then once I came to the States, where obviously the Ethiopian community is in DC and Atlanta, Dallas. By that point, I'm in my early 20s, so I knew the flavor right away. Going to DC and be able to eat Ethiopian food, it was something weird. It's been maybe then 18, 19 years of separate from it.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with it right away. And this is interesting as an adopted. I have a lot of Korean cousins that are adopted as well, and other adopted friends. They also talk about, in the Korean case, maybe it's kimchi, or in other countries, there's the connectivity that they understand that culture and product that they've not been around because they were born in a place. So it's I don't have a full answer on why, but it's something that's in our blood.
Yeah, food is in the DNA for sure.
100%. So first of all, I want to say that I saw you on my favorite football analysis show, like on CBS, and I was like, wait, Marcus? I was like, what is he doing? And so to see food and football together is like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And me and TJ are big football fans.
Oh, nice. I love it too. I'm going to tell Charlie that you guys liked it and everybody on the show.
We don't have the same team that we like, so she's an Arsenal fan.
I'm an Arsenal fan too.
Oh no!
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Let's
you
go.
Like what, Man United?
I'm a Man United fan.
Obviously.
My God.
Whatever's popular, then when you please. Arsenal, you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it.
It's history.
Okay, first of all,
you feel like we're ganging up.
I do. But I hear that you were wanting to be a football player initially. So what happened with that? Can you tell us the backstory, and then how you ended up shifting into cooking, and as well as your favorite team we see? Arsenal.
I think that the simple answer, I wasn't good enough, and it took me years to understand that, but it was a great gift. End of the day, it was bitter. It was difficult, and football was my identity. I had two things growing up besides my family. I cooked a lot. Was around foods from my uncles and my grandmothers, for fishing and so on, and then football. Oh, wow. There was never a plan B. This was everything to me. And I remember the day when I got cut. I didn't want to go back to school because I didn't even know. I didn't know myself outside football, like my friends. I was probably around 17, 18, because at 17 I got to the States through football, so I want to say around 18. And everything, my friends, the way we, vibe with girls, whatever it was, right? It was all in the circle of football. So you take that away from a teenager, I'm like, how am I going to go to school? I don't know anybody else outside. All my friends are around it. And it was a big deal for me to okay, I got to grow out of this. And I didn't have a real plan, but once I kind of threw myself into food, I realized there was a lot of similarities, right? At soccer, in football, you have to listen to the coach. In the kitchen, you listen to chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. You win as a team, you lose as a team. In the kitchen, you work together as a team. It's fully so many different parts that's got to come together. And you realize also that other kids work hard. In football, I was like, well, we work really hard and we won a lot. So I'm like, oh, there's other kids that are talented. There are other people that deserve it too. So like learning all those life skills that maybe hadn't dawned to me before, I learned through football, and I was able to quickly sort of move into the kitchen and just go 100% dive into it.
That's amazing. We were talking, we were like, okay, obviously he watches a lot of football. While we were at your restaurant, one of your chefs actually made us his rendition of awaze.
Oh, nice.
And we tried it with like carrots.
With a little bit of tequila.
Your
like
chef
sprinkled.
happened to be Mexican, so he added a little bit of tequila to the awaze. So we want to know.
No, he knew you guys were coming. That's it.
Really?
Yes,
He was like, a little bit of tequila.
Yeah.
But now we want to know, what are your favorite sort of Ethiopian fusion football snacks? Like when you sit around and watch football, do you have any like...
I mean,
Yeah.
for us,
Go
some
to.
tips
Yeah.
for
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, the best way to watch football is in the old stadium in Addis. I think the vibe, I told my friend Derek that is here with me, what's happening in the stadium and outside the stadium is almost better than what's happening on the field, because there's such a vibe with gambling and people are, all kinds of stuff. And I just, for an outsider coming to look at it, it's like, that's a vibe. That's an experience. It's not Arsenal Man U. It's a completely different thing.
At all.
But it's an experience. But I mean, I think we have so many great things. First of all, kolo itself, like it's amazing. Like you snack on it, and some barley, it's healthy, peanuts, all of that stuff. Dried injera. We used a lot of dried injera in our restaurant.
We love the chips.
Whether you want to dip it with, it's a little fancy now, but like maybe with dark chocolate, you get like that. Because you're at home, you can dip it, and you get that sour, bitter, and sweet.
I see.
Right? Valentine's Day is coming up. You guys know. Be good to your loved ones. Hook it up. Right? And it's also, of course, the tradition with corn and popcorn in Ethiopian culture, right? That you can use ebe, you can use berbere, and really spice them up and make your flavor on it. Like, so you don't have to see it in America and then in order to make it yours. Like, what about the opposite? You can make it here and then hopefully move it to other places.
Absolutely. We agree.
Yeah, you guys are entrepreneurs. You know what to do.
Yeah, we're foodies too.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's go for a track.
Yes, let's go for one. And don't go anywhere, guys. If you guys have any questions for Marcus, make sure to find us on our social media. That's Awaze Media, AWAZE MEDIA. Let's get it. Oi! Don't touch that dial. It's the Awaze Show. All right, welcome back to the Awaze Show here on ABC 104.7. As we said, we have our very special guest, Marcus. Or we're going to call him Cassie.
It's Cassie. Cassie is in the studio. Hope you guys are tuned in and having an amazing Thursday afternoon. Thank God it's Thursday. That's how we like to celebrate Thursdays on the show.
Yes, ma'am.
But we've been talking everything that has to do with food. And you guys know that's like our favorite topic to bring up.
Always.
Big foodies. But one of the major reasons that you are in town and visiting, at least this time around, is because it is the opening of your new restaurant. And one thing that you said when we got to see you was that this was a really long time in the making. And, it looks like, this building just came up and now there's a restaurant here. So people might take it as, oh, okay, maybe this took a year, maybe this took 2 years. But I'm sure to you behind the scenes, this has been a very long time coming. So when did you have the idea that, okay, I want a restaurant in Addis, in Ethiopia somewhere for sure?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a journey. I think when you adopt it, you always think about your duality. And being a chef and coming to your own, you start to think about your own dishes. All of us as chefs, we think about sour, sweet, salt, bitter, umami. This is how we create our flavors. And then, with Ethiopian food being so distinct around the world, you can find Ethiopian restaurants everywhere. So wherever I was cooking, I used to pop into Ethiopian restaurants and all the time, like, oh, when are you going to open in Ethiopia? So it started already then.
I'm sure.
And then almost 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I came back to Ethiopia and I met my family. And that was very emotional, very strong. And then I also cooked. I did an event, a couple of events in the city where for me it was not about restaurant, it was really about finding my identity and figuring out, learning about things that, going to Mercato, understanding, all the different things besides the core obvious things that we know, but like, how do you make tella? What is the ingredients, spices, and tea, things that you guys are growing up with that I did not have in my home, right? So really going, making fresh cheese, making aibe, learning about mar, learning about honey, and so on, going to these places to actually study it. So first was more about me cooking for certain people, but then at the same time sneaking out and learning about Ethiopian craftsmanship beyond the obvious. And that was fascinating. That was a couple of trips. One trip, I brought Gourmet Magazine with me, and so on. And then as a chef, you realize the only reason why I'm here is because hard work of so many people, my parents, my cousins, and so on, but also mentors. I had great mentors that pushed me and gave me scholarship or saw things in me that I didn't see at the time, I got a chance to work in France and in Switzerland and Japan and all these places. But end of the day, I'm Ethiopian, so it's like, when can I start bringing those spices, those flavors into the food? So I started to do that, I would say, in the early 2000s in New York. And understand, getting vocabulary. Oh, you can use berberin on salmon. Or you can use bunna and smoking coffee. And like understanding the process, and not so much what is the tradition, but what's the modern. Because at the end of the day, we're a dining destination. We focus on modern cooking, which is rooted in traditionalism, of course, but there's also a dining destination, not a traditional meal, right? No one comes to a restaurant because they're hungry. They come because they're part of an experience. So they're of the same, but they're different. Mm-hmm. So as a chef, you have to have a vocabulary, and you can't just do that. You learn through the French traditions, but those are not my traditions. Those are techniques. And you constantly, as an artist, as a creative, want to develop your own language in food. And that's what I've been doing. Once that's established, you start to think about how can you start to help slowly the next generation. I became chef very young, at 23 years old. So I wasn't even thinking about the next generation. The people I was working with, they were always older than me. Not until I was kind of like 30, you start to think about, okay, there's a give back process. That is not just I'm going to dinner, cooking a dinner, and money goes to charity. That's an important part, but there's a difference. Realizing you're a black chef, one of the few black chefs in the country, not working, but getting prominent recognition. You're an Ethiopian chef, so you're both an immigrant and an Ethiopian chef. Okay, I look at Ethiopian chefs and they're incredible to me, and have so much, but very few are prominent. So you start, and then all of that comes together. It's like, well, maybe one day I can do this in Ethiopia, not this. And so I think the timing has to be right. I think that all the things that has happened lined up. And my wife has been a major force. She obviously brought me closer to Ethiopia with our kids and everything. So without Maya, none of this stuff would have happened. So it's been a major part, not just from conceptually, but also from true production. You build a restaurant could be difficult. You do it from New York to Addis. That's challenging. You do it on 47th floor. There's a lot of room for mistakes to happen. But every time we had great people like, my dear friend Brooke, my dear friend Brooke, that helped us with this. Mamu helped us with this. Ethiopian tourism helped us. Hyatt. And, the gentleman, Mr. Ali, that had the vision to actually say, let's invest, let's do this, So again, nobody's here. I'm not here by myself. I have a whole team with me here from New York that has worked on this. So no one can do it. And it's not fun. You guys have your own thing. That doesn't mean you guys did this on your own only, right? Yeah. There are many people to thank. And I think that's important when you talk about something. I like food,
No, that's real. That actually leads to my next question, because when we look at just the world of cooking, of culinary arts, we see that there are not a lot of people of color who have received Michelin stars, for their restaurants, and even not just only people of color, even when you look at women, I think there was a study last year that indicated like 6% of females are head chefs for Michelin star restaurants. So I wanted to ask you just what your thoughts are about that, as well as do you see the needle like moving forward in terms of more people of color, more Black people getting that recognition in this space?
Yeah, I mean, I always offer two answers to that. Ethiopia is thousands of years. That means that things like Kitfo and Bunna has been around for thousands of years. Michelin is a great French tire company that has been around for 100 years.
Yes.
So you have to put things, so for me, Michelin's great standards and it's great to achieve, but it's not the only thing you can search for. I mean, cooking, you start cooking because it's a craft that you're truly passionate of, or it's a necessity you have to do to survive with your family. Both are equally fine to start off. It's a luxury to be able to say, I want to work with this, and the majority of people that cook come from it pure by necessity. Then, women in food, you know, I think the whole conversation is upside down. There wouldn't be no food without women. The majority of the drivers of food in the world are women, particularly in Ethiopia, but all over the world. So when you talk about fine dining, which is a small section of food, yes, in that fine dining, it's been more pushed by men, but that does not mean that the most influential people in the world in food are not women. If you go to America and you think about Julia Childs, you think about Martha Stewart, people who truly, my mentor Leah Chase, that changed food forever. You know, Miss Leah Chase, she broke the law. She created the first integrated restaurant by breaking the law. She's like, I'm going to serve everybody. Come and arrest me. You know, so they're in the club of super fine dining is run by majority of men. Okay, fact. But that's not. But I think also as a leader, you have a responsibility. So with our restaurants in Havmar, for example, when we built during the pandemic in Chelsea, it's all run by women of color. And our head chef, Miss Fariel, she's from Ethiopia.
Nice.
And so even there, you have to be strategic, right? It just doesn't happen. Hav is ocean, it's ocean in Swedish. Mar, we know what Mar means. Sweet water is the name of the restaurant. So strategically, we put an Ethiopian woman in charge. We knew we would get X amount of media on it, and we knew we would change the narrative. But that, as a leader, you have to strategically do that. So then when you look a little bit more under the hood, out of, let's say, our 12 restaurants we have worldwide, majority of them are run, general manager and chef, by women of color. So I think with Havmar, we market it, it becomes that place. So other women say, I feel comfortable in this space. In Atlanta, our restaurant, chef, executive chef, and GM, women of color.
Okay.
Our partner that we bring here to Marcus Addis, two leaders, Chef Dawn, and our manager Reggie, two women of color. So I think it's like anything. You put it, if I would go through the radio or the media landscape, maybe the same thing. So you have to be strategic about stuff. It just doesn't happen. So yes, there's data out there and it's completely upside down from reality, but you have to be strong enough to look beyond it, you know, and representation matters. And that's why opening the restaurant is key, but what's going to come out of the restaurant is even more important. It will change hospitality in this country as we think about it. Because I don't know which one, but there is an Ethiopian general manager in the restaurant right now, and there is an Ethiopian executive chef soon to become in the restaurant. When? It's about when we're there. And there's probably 5 other entrepreneurs in the restaurant that's going to open restaurant, bars, catering 5 years from now, right? So that's why representation matters. I mean, we have a partnership with the Culinary School here in Ethiopia where we have offered 10 scholarships to come and work in the restaurant and eventually come and work with us throughout the world. This is what the restaurant is for. That's our purpose. That's another why.
That's amazing. So throughout your career, you've had some really, really incredible highlights, like hosting the state dinner or at the White House or doing the Met Gala. So I wanted to know, where does opening Marcus Addis rank? And please be careful how you answer, because these people, they know you're here.
Yes.
You're in town.
I mean,
so
drum roll, let's do it.
Answer accordingly.
I would say Number 6 would be the steak dinner. No, it wouldn't. No. I'm just joking. I would say the Met Gala is number 6.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yep. I would say we could take top 3 at least.
Okay.
Opening Red Rooster was a major journey. It was amazing.
For sure.
It was absolutely amazing. Number 2, the steak dinner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a funny story because after you became suggested, and then you have to send in your menu idea, and eventually you got the job. I didn't know, it was a lot of people looking for it. So anyway, by the time the day of I'm cooking the dinner, I'm calling my mom just to say, Mom, I don't want you to read about this in the paper. I want to tell you that this is happening. So I'm outside. I'm actually right outside the Oval Office, and the event's just 30 yards away. I'm calling her. I was like, listen, I'm doing this big dinner for Obama. It's the first steak dinner. And she goes quiet on the phone. And like 10 seconds later, she's like, okay, Marcus, this is what you should do. Drop everything, just leave. Because if you leave, I know they're going to be upset. But if you poison the American president, it will be much worse. And your dad would never agree with that. I was like, thank you, Mom. Click.
That's wonderful.
So 9 times out of 10, listen to your mom. 10th time, you got to go on your own. Okay. She was so nervous, and the next day I think it went well. She's like, I haven't slept. I was so nervous.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Moms.
But number 1 would be, for me, opening Marcus Addis. It's really been something that we look forward to as a team. I look forward to at a personal level. And it's been a very emotional trip, one of the days we went to visit Mother Teresa, and there's so many incredible people that do work there, volunteer. Nuns come from all over the world to share their knowledge and take care of all ages of people. And we then go to the children's section of the building, and it's just kids, Ethiopian kids just playing. And for me, it's hard for me to leave that place because I was that kid. Mm-hmm. I was that was my story, that was my journey. And I just see myself, they look exactly like me. And they have joy, they're kids. Mm-hmm. And then, so there's many emotional things that, are not in the restaurant that you see it happening. But it's, what I love is, especially with my wife, it's a totality of the journey, right? Mm-hmm. We're doing that. We are opening the restaurant with a big opening party. We are still building it, fixing our, the electricity. When I gave my speech last night, the electricity got cut for a second in the middle of the speech. So we're living a full, authentic experience,
the full Ethiopian rice.
But do you know what? We didn't stop. Both me and Hedo, our partner, no mic? All right, we're not going to stop with a speech. So, so it's like, it's a full experience that we authentically living and going through, because the bigger purpose and the what and the why is why we're here is not to complain about the journey, it's really to do it. And when I see the Ethiopian staff that is with me on the journey and see the opportunities and their joy, I know why we're doing it. It's all answered in there. And that's, my gift is, I've been very fortunate and lucky, I have many breaks, and be able to come back here and do it is one of the biggest privileges in my life.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
I think every Ethiopian is very happy to hear that. That's tuned into the show.
Are you kidding? Absolutely.
And even when you did the state dinner and we saw that picture of you standing next to Obama, we've all really acted like that was our cousin or our uncle.
Are you kidding me? Our uncle.
Yeah, it's Marcus. It's like, it's Cassie.
Yeah.
To us, you made it.
Yeah,
like
you make it, we make it. That's kind of, I think that's kind of how it goes with our community, just in general. If one of us makes it, we all make it.
We all make it.
And can you realize now that you are those guys, right? Like there's a, Addis is not only the capital of Ethiopia, but it's also not the only place in Ethiopia, right? So people are listening to this all over the world and all over Ethiopia. And then there's 2 young professionals sitting somewhere and saying, if they can do it, I can do it. So representation matters. And
absolutely.
How does it feel to be those guys that people look up to and say, like, you guys did it? Because you're taking risk with this. You could have easily just done something else.
This was a whole journey.
Yeah.
Here was a whole journey. We'll talk about that.
That's a whole story.
We'll talk about that later.
Well, I'm here, so we're talking. Why not talk about that?
I want to know this story.
Yeah. What actually happened? So see what happens when I turn the interview around on you?
God. Yeah.
Like, what?
So what happened was
I don't even think we can do it in a
okay,
regular friendly way.
We're not doing it. Okay.
But no, let's go for one last track. And when we come
Yeah.
back, we will wrap it up with our final questions. If you guys are tuned in, definitely hit us up, ask your questions. Just say hello to Kasi if you want to as well. We will definitely have this for you guys up later. So even if you missed like half of it, don't panic.
Yes, let's get to a musical break, and then we'll come back with the lightning round. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, it's a lightning round.
It's a lightning round. Yes, it is. Don't go anywhere. Oi! Don't touch that dial. It's the Awaze Show.
All right. You didn't know this was going to happen. You did not know that this is going to happen. This is going to turn into... You guys are coming to Marcus Addis for your 3 years anniversary dinner. But here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
You're going to give two listeners an opportunity to dine with you for the 3-year anniversary. You pick the date. The place is already picked. Marcus Addis. It's all on us. 3 years anniversary. But you got to pick good people to go with you. That's it.
Okay, first of all, Marcus, I forgot that you have a whole podcast, so you're good.
Like you already know.
I forgot.
Yes.
That caught us off guard.
Yes.
Completely this off
No, this whole segment is about make sure she's not talking because she loves talking. So that's it. How can we fill the time? That's the whole segment. You didn't know that?
Be quiet.
Yeah.
Let me stay over here and be quiet.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Do you know I got fed that? You know somebody said that because she talks like... You got to divide it 50-50. And I feel like there's a 70-30 thing going on here.
He's like, you shut up. Okay.
Oh my God, this isn't great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish with the questions because I'm blushing now. My face is hot. So we'll do the lightning round.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we'll ask you this and that, and then you choose which one is your preference from the two.
Yeah.
We'll try to do it as fast as we can. If you feel like explaining in between, you can.
Yeah, cool.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
This is the part where I'm quiet.
You can't be quiet. We have to go back and forth.
Okay, sure. So it's Ethiopian food, this or that. Shuro versus Misr.
Shiro. Because my son Zion loves Shiro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tips or kitfo?
Ooh, my wife is from Gurage, of course. I have to say kitfo tips.
What?
Kitfo tips.
You know what? That was slick.
Yes.
Fair enough.
In the hand tips. No, but if you're in Gurage with the people, 100% kitfo. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say, the French always like, oh, Tatar. I said, Tatar. When you guys didn't even have a country, Ethiopia already 2,000 years before had Tatar.
Tell 'em.
Exactly.
100%. Okay, breakfast options. Jajabsa or gamfo?
You know what I love for breakfast here, actually? Kinche.
Okay.
If it's made well with good butter.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so rare to have kimchi for breakfast. I'm like, wow.
Is it?
Yeah. No, but when in New York, you know.
Fair enough.
So I love it.
That's
You just feel great, and you can, go to the gym, whatever afterwards. You just feel good.
Okay, I have a tough one. Let's see where you go with this. Red Rooster, fried chicken, or Dorowet.
That's why we created on Marcus Addis, Addis York. It's literally a dish that is created where you acknowledge both places, but it's a fried chicken thigh with sort of a modern twist on a Dorowet. So you don't have to choose. You can have both.
I want both. I was hoping to eat when we came to your
Addis
restaurant.
York. Addis York. You're only a week away from it. So,
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. And do you have any more?
No. Before we wrap it up, though, we did want to...
I have a question for you guys. Buna or Shai?
Buna.
It depends. Like macchiato ማለት but what like with milk?
Arake or Tej?
Edge.
Oh, both. By the way, you don't see it. Both said Arake with a nod here.
You should have asked Edge or Tadla.
Yeah, Tej or Tella. Yeah.
It would have been talla.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
It would have been Edge for me.
Mine is talla.
We're divided here. All right, but before we go, one question I wanted to ask you. We know that you've achieved a lot. But at the same time, you've also gone through a lot as well. So if you could, standing where you are, give advice to your younger self, because there's a lot of listeners who are tuning in. We have a lot of young listeners who are tuning in.
Great.
And probably a lot of those who want to have a career, who want to shift from maybe one career to like culinary or from like one, I went from medicine to journalism because I was a med school student in the beginning. So if you could give advice to the younger version of you, and for those who, you know what I mean, are in that position, what would you say?
We both switched. Like, you were an engineer, so I think it's very inspiring, and you can always draw one career into the other, and they both give you sort of help. But I would say keep dreaming, hold on to your dream. Whatever you dream now, make sure you dream even bigger. And then parallel, really work on the path how to get there. And if you don't know how to get there, find a mentor that can guide you and work on it. It's like if you got to be good in soccer, you have to practice. So you have to practice you have to say it and really practice what your goals are in your professional life. And what are the steps that I have to go through who is the connector for that, right? So for me, it was cooking. So I found mentors said, hey, there's a scholarship you can apply for. And we applied, me and my mom. And, not always, but many times, several times we end up winning. And most kids didn't even know there were scholarships, right? So it's like you got to dream big, add on that dream, but at the same time, work on how do I stay connected to the people that can actually push me and guide me towards that. Otherwise, it's just a dream, and that's beautiful to have. But if you want to realize the dream, you really got to figure out, okay, what do I have to do? Does it mean I have to move from this part of town to this place? Does it mean I have to go to this school? Does it mean I have to speak to this person? So you always have to kind of work on it, right? That you need a friend or a mentor or a parent or somebody else or a sister or brother to be like, all right, let's work on your dream tonight. It's just say it out. Like okay. Sounds corny maybe the first time, but it's not, because it's your dream and you're allowed to have whatever dream you want.
That's beautiful.
It really is. Last question.
Last?
For everybody in Addis that wants to go check out Marcus Addis, kind of summarize, draw the people in of what to expect, what you created, the vision that you had, and the type of experience that you're trying to give people at Marcus Addis.
I want people of Ethiopia, whether in diaspora, living in Addis or outside, to say, hey, we did that. This is our city, it's our restaurant. And when you come up to the 47th floor, especially at night, but daytime too, you see all of Addis, all of it. You can see Mercato, you can see Piazza, you can see the new Science Museum, you can see that the city is going in places, and be able to do that and dine at the same place. At some point, you're going to stop and say, okay, I belong here. How do I participate in the city? The way maybe you do when you're in New York, when you kind of like you would look in the skyline, it's inspiring. It's even when I go through something in the restaurant, I go to the windows and look out and say, okay, how do I have to do this? How can I connect? Because we all need it, right? It's a moment of inspiration, celebration, and it's yours. It's not my restaurant. It belongs to the people that wants to get inspired, wants to dine. Whether you come up for a beer or a coffee and save up to be able to come for dinner, that's okay. We're not like that. That's what the lounge is for. The restaurant is really created, so it's for everyone, and that for me is how we move forward as an inclusive Ethiopia. Keep inspiring each other, and breaking bread is one of the best experiences to do that.
You know what? Before you go,
she's like, one more.
No, question. This isn't a question, but before we wrap up the show, I want to be able to give you your flowers, because it's not every day that we get to see you and be able to tell you this in person, but we want you to know just how incredible we think you are.
Thank you.
The fact that, like TG said, we are rooting for you, like from like our TV screens, from our laptop screens, and not only are you culinary royalty, as I reiterated before, you're Ethiopian royalty. We support you. We stand by you. We can't wait to go to the restaurant to try out the food, but also we can't wait to see the rest of what you're up to and what you're going to do in the future.
Well, thank you very much, and congrats to you guys. And I can't wait to see who these two winners are.
We can't wait either. This should be fun.
We're gonna bring.
Somebody about to have a fancy afternoon.
Yeah.
We have to send you pictures. We gotta like send pictures.
And they'll shoot it on Instagram too.
Of course.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. Thank you for being with us. We do have to wrap it up and say goodbye to you guys, but we hope you had a fantastic show. We'll see you guys back here same time, same place. As usual, stay hydrated, make good decisions. Awazi out. Bye.
Nice. That's good.
Oi! Don't touch that dial. It's the Awaze Show.